So waiting for Sébastien. Okay. Status demos.
I have a small demo if you want to see it.
Okay, Russell.
I also have one.
Sultan. Daniel.
No demo for me. Sorry.
No extension method.
No, I didn't finish that. Sorry.
I don't think I have. I will see in the status. Harvest. There's some progress. What else? Does anyone have a topic to talk about?
Oh, I do. You could remind everybody about the rule of using capital, like uppercase or lowercase string.
Sure.
That does not compile.
I'm just following your team. I'm following your team, Sébastien.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. Read your team's guidance.
We'll see, but it's Ultra, it's not the team.
The MVC team.
We'll see. That's it. Okay, and as a reminder, if I talk too much or out of context and I digress, just remind me, that's fine, okay? You can say, shut up, Sébastien, we don't care about it. If you don't say, shut up, Sébastien, we don't care about it, I assume you care about it. Good? Thank you.
Well, I'm curious what will come.
Well, so actually, Daniel reminded me that I talked too much about the concurrent dictionary last week. So I'm just a reminder. He could have said it live. That would have been fine. He was too polite. Because I do, when I think you talk too much, I tell you. So you can tell me. That's okay. I will just remember. Then status. Did I open that? Sure. So I think there has been some progress last week. Oh yeah, I did 2 branches on my side. I'll show you. Then 7 days, 6 days here. Optimize link queries. That must be some. Oh no, that's not. That must be pull requests. Optimization on the aliases. Just for your information, the kids will come into the room because I can't attach them, but I will shout on them, okay? So optimization. Oh, that was from Massa. All the changes that have been demoed last week have been merged. Okay, by the way, I think there's another set of change from her about the layers. Maybe some reordering that is breaking some unit tests, some spec flow test on one next. We have to check that. It should be just maybe renaming of internal ID or name that broke the unit test. That's the same thing, I assume. Yes, the alias changes, the merge. Philippe fixed some typos. I don't get why this word came here. That's weird. Typos in different module.txt. Bertrand fixing wrong solution here. This is a change I made under Redis. So the idea is just to compress the payload from Ultra to Redis on the output cache, just on the output cache. Okay. Well, just on Redis. Sorry, just on Redis. And using also binary serialization instead of JSON serialization, faster. That and gzipping the content. Fix and issue a notify filter. Okay, we don't know what the issue is, but 2040.
I think I added a description to the commit message explaining the issue.
Isn't that the opposite? That when you return a redirect?
When you return a redirect, it's fine. The issue becomes apparent when you return a view. For example, when there's a model state, a model binding error, and you use the iNotifier to register some messages, they won't show up if you return a view from that controller.
Okay, it was waiting for the next request, and here you are.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And on the next request, you would see the messages, but now you will see them in both cases.
Contained in no branch.
That's weird. Did I not merge that?
It's in distributed looking. Maybe that's why. I don't know. That's right.
Huh.
Or maybe not. I check. Okay.
I'll check. No worries.
Change import to accommodate expected behavior. Oh, yeah, we talked about it on Thursday during the triage. This is fixing the import-export with draft, and based on the specification we define in the issue. Okay. So draft stays draft if there is a published content item, and so on. Code cleanup. I added some documentation to iAppData folder because I used the interface, and when I was using create file, for instance, I was like, well, what happens if the file already exists? So I had to look into the code to understand. So I added like creates or overwrites the file in the specified path and so on. Same thing for the other ones that I didn't know the meaning. Read file, create file again here. Open file, what is the file? It doesn't exist, or yeah, I don't know. So things like that. So just documentation. And then this is related. And this can be discussed. I've added a new feature for the output cache. There was already the in-memory one, there was the database one, and I have added the file system-based output cache. So the cache is stored as local files in the app data folder, so that you can't download the content of these. It's very simple. It's just serializing as binary the output cache, the cache item on the file system. It's not compressing it because we don't need that on the local file system.
Is that what you wrote at Harvest last year?
Fuck, I wrote one last year? I was...
Yeah, do you remember? Because the Redis stuff wasn't ready and you needed a quick cache.
Oh my god, I was sure. When I talked about it, I was like, that's weird, because I was almost sure we had one already.
Yeah, you wrote one because the sites were going up and down. Do you remember that, Sipke?
I don't actually.
Oh crap. Okay. Well, there is a new one, which must be better.
It would be fun to compare them and see if you did it differently this time around.
Yes, but I don't know what could be better, because this one is really great. I'd like to know where did I put it.
Well, it was for remember when you rolled out all the blogs to Azure for ASP.NET, and they were going up and down, and it was because of the caching.
Okay.
And then we went back to your house and you wrote the file system.
Oh yeah.
Output cache.
I remember. Elon was there as well.
Sebastian, maybe you should write a cache for cache modules so you don't generate them multiple times.
Right. I remember we went
just wanted to say that.
We went with Sipke, and by the time we came back, all the sites were down because the managed cache wasn't reliable. Actually, the client for the managed cache wasn't reliable, and the mitigation was to write a file base. Oh yeah, I remember that. Ah, crap! I don't know where it is. Yeah, interesting. But now we have one and it's there. So just to talk about why I did that. Yes, I was again working with Redis cache on the same website and had also some issues. And I was discussing with some performance guy in Microsoft, the lead of the performance team in Azure, about the solutions for caching. And so we have different ways of caching, for output caching and for business caching, but for output caching, just talking about it. with so the different solutions will provide some pros and some cons all the time. For instance, the default one is the ASP.NET. Please stop me if I'm going too much in the details, right? So the output cache is optimized for speed because the cache is local to the rendering engine, okay? But is not optimized for memory consumption because it will take some memory from your server. You might not care, but that's a con. It's also not optimized if you are using a farm with multiple nodes because each node will have its own memory cache. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You have to decide which one you want. Then this one is interesting because it's centralized for all the nodes. Good. But then it's slower than in memory because it's decentralized from the web server. But there is also no memory taken, so that's good. The same reasons for the Redis engine or the whatever distributed memory engine. It's faster than database, but it might be more expensive than the database because you have another service to set up. And for database, you already have a database service. So you have to take that into account. Then there is a file system. File system is nice because it's cheap. There is no other service. It's quite fast, not as much as memory, but it's quite fast. And it doesn't take any memory. So if you are memory pressured, then you can use a file system based. But it's only one node. So there are lots of services based on your needs, and every website has different needs, or every web hosting has different needs. For instance, on weblog ASP.NET, we have so many blogs in one Orchard instance that we are very limited by the memory. So we can't use the local memory to store things. So we can use either database, Redis, or file-based. So in this case, we are using Redis because that's what we need, and it's kind of cheap for the hosting, so that's good. So all that, yeah, just to explain why we might need file system based on the other ones.
Did you write this provider with some specific site in mind?
I tested it on the weblogs ASP.NET, but because I was talking with, I was like, why don't we have a file-based one? I'm like, okay, let's write it simple, and it's done. That's it.
Yeah, I think it's nice. It's good for some scenarios, like you say.
And it makes sense in core. It's simple implementation. It's complementary. It's complementing all the other ones. So I don't know. Module manifest metadata issue. It looks like a pull request. It's a branch. Or maybe you pushed for some time.
It's been merged in, I think.
Okay, then you can delete the, or maybe you already deleted the.
Already deleted it, I think.
Yeah. Something. Fixing registration settings in migration. So what was wrong here? Casing, not only. Info set controller, modules upgrade. Okay, good. Upgrade, fix. Merge. Oh, this is the pull request on Thursday. What is that? Homepage alias. So this is the changes from Sipke about how homepage works now. Fix duplicate content. What was it? This is a unit test, so it was pulled very fast because there was some unit test. What was it? Layers. I don't remember the change. This must be Sipke because I see some casing fixed here.
Looks like it, but
Fix duplicate content.
oh yeah, that's me. That's been pulled in.
Oh, for the alias. Okay, with the I'll take the latest version and not just the published version. Okay.
Yeah, remember the issue when you import draft content items? They would.
That's it. Okay.
Duplicate. Yeah.
Oh, that's the one we saw before, but that was the merge commits. Okay. This one is from Gustavo, adding some default, so a list of standard MIME types in the default web config, the ones that we are missing and we are using, WAF and SVG, the issue contains all of them, but we don't want to add all of them in the default web config. So feel free to add the ones you need. the one from Philippe. We talked about it. Widget layer, I think this is the reordering of the layers, which broke some spectral tests. Let's just check if there is something that will break the test. Doesn't look like, but maybe ordering the items is breaking the test. Maybe if the test is taking a position-based layer. Reformatting. These are two branches I created on the main repo. This one is the one I showed you 2 weeks ago for the tenantcommands feature, which lets you execute some commands on the multi-tenancy module. And Daniel wanted to see it, maybe to make it better, so I published it. This one is some trials I've been doing based again on performance and cache. So I made an Owin middleware to serve the output cache instead of the MVC filter today. 2 reasons. Well, the main reason is for performance reasons, to have a faster orchard request per second if we use the output cache, and for by increasing two different things. First, by having an Owin middleware, we will shortcut most of the MVC filters and rendering and overhead, because the Owin middleware is run before the MVC orchard middleware. If the output cache kicks in the middleware, then orchard is not run anymore. So this will make things faster. Second thing is, by using an Owin middleware, everything is async. So there will be better reuse of the threads when we do some I/O. And actually, when we do output cache, if we use the in-memory, that's fine. But if we use the file-based or the Redis-based or the database-based output cache storage provider, then the async will make things much better. And I have some numbers that I run locally. So before this change, with the standard website on the standard homepage, I will get 300 requests per second on my machine with the in-memory output cache, and I'm not going up to the limits, okay? Because I was just 10 concurrent users, 10 seconds, 300 requests per second, and with this change, I will get so 300 requests per second, and the time to last byte of, let's say, 60 or 90, maybe 60. Let's say 50 milliseconds to get the full content. And with the Owin middleware, I could get 600 requests per second, so twice as much, and something like 20 to 30 milliseconds of rendering. So it's not only more requests per second, sorry, but also better performance for the raw page. So that's pretty good. And I tried to, so the current implementation, which is definitely not finished, where is that? This one. Takes almost all the options that were provided in the filter, but some of them, you see, for instance, it's not this one, but for instance, this thing, you see it's commented, or this thing is commented too. But in the end, for the test I made, those code paths will not have been hit. So it is the same. This is a reliable perf comparison between the two. But there are some things I haven't migrated yet. I wanted to see if it will be worth it, and it's definitely worth it. So I also updated the Redis provider to be async. So it can't go in 19x for sure, because it's a breaking change. It could go in dev, but it could not be a breaking change. The issue being that let me show you. I need the iStorage. Okay, I made a new interface. async output cache storage provider. This way, all the methods from this interface are async, so you can implement them asynchronously. And the middleware is looking for a async output cache storage provider. In order not to break it, we could make a default implementation of an async output cache provider to load the high output cache storage provider and execute it directly. So it will not be breaking at all. Every implementation will just work. And if we want to use an async provider, we could just enable the async feature and it will take over. Okay? So that's the idea. So we could make this change not breaking in dev once it's been tested and completed. I think we should do it.
Do you think maybe we could have the existing providers implement that interface directly instead of having something else wrapping?
Yeah, the core ones, we can definitely make them, but we still need the wrapper to not break the other ones, if we can do that.
Yeah, that's true.
On your interface for your async stuff, I read somewhere that you should try to avoid using just task. Try to avoid returning just an empty task, and to return a task of something. I looked for the article, but they said it was good practice.
Send the article, and at the same time, I'm in good contact with the performance guy in Azure, so they know everything. And I will ask them, and they will confirm.
Yeah, it's just what someone said. I'll try and find it.
Okay. So this one, but guys, 600 requests per second. Just boom, take that. It's almost faster than, well, it's not as fast as kernel cache, but it could be some kind of kernel cache too. We could make a kernel cache module in Orchard. So this one is done. This is a MIME type. What is that? WOF and WOF2 now. Someone pulled it. I don't know. Sipke pulled it.
Yeah, that was me. It made sense to be WFF. Version 2 is better.
Stop. Your sound is very bad. We can't hear you. There is some robot talking at the same time. Whenever you talk. So you have to fix it first.
I had a read of this pull request, and it seemed fine to me. The WooF2. It seems like more people are moving towards WooF2 than using just WooF, so I think that's fine. I just think it's okay.
Okay then. Initial work on distributed locking service. Making it a branch, please. It's in a branch, good. So this is new work from Sipke. Yeah, he found an issue with the migration. We agreed on some at least simple fix for the migrations to run only on one server if you use a farm. The simplest solution being to just have the migration do a database lock. But apparently he's working on something better. iLock and, well, iDistributed lock. Okay, we'll see when the pull request is created. Lots of things. Okay, good. And some tests. Awesome. Yeah, maybe we can talk about it on Thursday when we have the pull request to comment and to see how it works. Maybe there will be no comment to do. Fixing typo language from... That's a good fix. Okay.
Probably we should ask Nick about this.
No, it's English. Okay. Auto-enable dependencies. Oh yeah, I see what you mean. So if you add a dependency maybe to an existing feature, it should be auto-enabled. That's what you mean?
Yeah. So I'm still working on this, trying to figure out the best place. But and then as I wanted to do some tests, I figured I should add a unit test while we're at it.
Okay. Good. Questions on the status? For 192, we are still waiting for me to fix the last blocking bug, which is the content item picker or the content picker with the search engine. I still need to fix it, but I was focused on the cache thing last week. Good. Status.
I'm wondering, Sebastian, if we have enough new stuff gone into dev now to actually do a 1.10.
Yeah, we said we it was okay, I think. Yeah, we can think about it too. We don't have to do it at the same time. We could ship the 192 quickly and then take the time needed for dev to start working on the shipment of dev, fixing all the bugs and okay.
Yep.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, since Sipke is now working on that also enabling of new dependencies, we should probably wait on that, because there were one or two occasions in the recent dev code that actually needs that. Otherwise, it will be breaking, and you have to prevent it by hand somehow. It would be better to have that code already in there for 1.10.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. It's not going to take days to fix that anyway. So it might be nice to have that included.
Okay, demos. Russell, you want to start?
Okay.
Let me get you. Okay, make you presenter.
Andrew has a demo too.
Okay, I will add you. Good to go.
Okay, let's see. Present. Present desktop. Primary desktop. Present. You are now presenting primary desktop. Okay. Can y'all see the form?
I can't. I don't know, Benedek. I can, Benedek.
Yeah, I can see it. Thanks.
Good.
All right. You see a bridge?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. One of the things we do, we have a huge number of forms for people to fill out, but like everything else, nobody ever reads the instructions. So in our old implementation, we used a huge amount of tooltips to actually just put the instructions in there so people wouldn't ask us, what does this actually do? And it saved us a tremendous amount of training time. So one of the things I've done in dealing with the DynamicForms was to implement some of this. And I will show you an example of it before we go into it. A good example would be these are the date times. We have different types of, here we have, tooltips, we have drop-down lists. This is fully configurable using jQuery UI. All of this is completely configurable. This is a text area with tooltips. Everything here is completely configurable with the jQuery UI. It implements all of jQuery. So here's an example of what happens, when you don't have one. Here's another example if you just specify the default. How this is done is we can go back to here and we can go back to editing. And as we see here, I can click here and it implements the entire thing. Then we go to this jQuery tab here. And with the jQuery, with the datetime picker, you have two options. You have the datetime options for the jQuery, and then you also have the tooltips. So you simply specify the options that you want, the ones that you do not want, and you say save. Now, if say the form, here's a good example, if the enable client is turned off, we will see this, and save the form again. If we go back and say view, all of it's turned off. So if somebody, for some reason, the client, the formation is turned off, it's just gone back to being standard text fields like they were. Also, one of the more difficult things I had to deal with was that we have we'll have multiple ones on here, so I did not want to have to deal with, or go through the trouble of having it, let's see if I can get the form. Go back here, enable this, save, and publish now. So if we go back here, we say view, now everything's turned back on we have here. But the key feature that took me a while to do was if we look at the code for this, you will notice at the bottom, jQuery UI is only added once. And so this was an important feature so that you could have one or a dozen of these controls on here, and it only ever loads the control once. So, any questions so far?
So about the repetition of the resource, the jQuery file, there's a technique if you use, I don't know how it works with the DynamicForms, but if you use the resource manager, it will render it automatically. Sipke would say, I don't know.
Yeah, that should be the case already. It's interesting that you observed the thing being included multiple times. That should not be the case.
Yeah, because what happens is whenever I was looking at that, it was the option. Since I did not want to change any of the existing code, this is completely self-contained. What each one of the controls does, it implements an interface, and when it renders, it looks to say, are you the first control with this interface? If you are, then add the jQuery library. If
Yes,
you're
It's
not,
interesting. You should not have to do it like that. You should just, if any of your elements require jQuery to be registered, you should just be able to use the resource manager. Now, because the elements are rendered using Ajax or using binding, so when the editor is initially rendered, you don't get a chance to register any scripts. But what you do, what we're doing actually with the DynamicForms module is implementing a shape table provider, and then whenever the layout editor shape is being when you're describing that thing. That's the moment where you register additional resources that you know your elements will use. We did that, for example, for the form element. But your solution, you shouldn't have to do that in the first place. But maybe we can take this offline. I'd be happy to have a look at it with you and come with
because most likely I probably looked at an example and either didn't understand it or didn't know how to implement it. So
we won't blame you for that. We understand. Nobody knows.
So, but having tooltips on our data entry forms was very important to us to cut down training time, because we would get a horrendous amount. Well, what does this mean? What is it? What does it mean by this, or what does it mean by? And so we just started implementing examples and more explanation in the tooltips, and that's cut down a great deal of our training or client complaints about not understanding the form.
I think it's very cool that you that you showed how to extend existing elements with data like that. I imagine you implemented additional drivers for those elements.
I can let's see if this will actually work. Can you actually see my code?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. What I did was here is on the driver. It basically says that, is this a valid form? And then it looks in the elements list for the first control that implements this interface. And if it exists, and then it says, okay, are you that element? Are you the first element in the list to implement this interface? If you are.
So did you change core code to? Oh wait, there's no out-of-box date field element, is there?
No, what I did is I took the text. I took the basic text field, or and everything derived. Once I understood how it worked, then I built everything from it.
So did you create your own? Did you create multiple elements to enable this tooltip, or did you reuse existing elements then attach data to it?
Like we said, what we have here, we have under elements. I implemented. This is the date field. So it implements basically labeled form element, and also this interface. And this interface right here is basically just an empty tag. Because we go here, it's basically just an empty tag. It's designed.
Oh, I see. You changed the core module. So you're planning on submitting this as a pull request?
Yeah, I was hoping to be able, if people find this interesting, to be able to add this to the core. Although what happens is I've also found a way of implementing one that's completely outside of the DynamicForms. So just like I have one down here which is one for more specific ones, which essentially it will appear on the palette like any other layer, like any other element. But I was hoping that anybody finds that these things are interesting or useful. So we have datetime field, and also I have tooltips area and a tooltips text area, which excuse me. See if I can.
Well, what is a tooltip text and what is a tooltip area?
Well, they basically are text areas and text fields that allow you to implement tooltips, because the other ones did not allow it.
Why is the tooltip something on all elements?
Okay.
Yes, should we add it as a property to some base
property and a feature could define how to use this tooltip. So the default implementation could use, I don't know, a text under or a title attribute, but another implementation could say, oh, I want to use jQuery tooltips. But the tooltip property should be in the core elements.
Yeah, so it shouldn't be separate elements.
Like I said, if you could explain a different or more proper way of doing this, I'd be very interested to look at examples.
Yeah, be happy to.
I can, if you want, Russell, you can ping me offline, and I can give you my IDs, and then Sipke will polish the ID based on the forms. But I can tell you how it should be done in the orchard way, and then he will tell you if it fits the form entries. We can take it offline.
Okay.
We'll show you. You just need to know all the possibilities and what I think should be the way to do that. Okay. That's good. That's a good idea, I think.
All right, that's it for
Thanks. Me. I come back next week. Ping me next week on Skype.
Okay.
Thank you. Next is Zoltan. Also, I didn't. Right. Yeah. Wait, one second.
I'm not a presenter, so please make me a presenter.
Now.
Thank you, and let me know when you can see my screen. Because of what I would like to show you is Git-Hg Mirror. This is actually something that we just published, but it's a very old project. It was started 1.5 years ago, but it was never a priority, and we had a lot of technical difficulties, but now it's up. It's a service for automatically synchronizing Git and Mercurial repositories, or two Mercurial repositories. Now, this is quite useful if you use either one of these source control systems, but you want to incorporate repositories from the other system into your source control. So, for example, there are these cool companies like Lombiq who use Mercurial, or iDeliverable who use Git, And in your own source control, you want to include their modules, their orchard modules, as sub-repositories in Mercurial or as sub-modules in Git. And you can't do that if the source control they use is the other one. So this is a solution for that, and this is how it looks. You can, after a registration, you can set up a mirroring configuration quite quickly, and of course you can have multiple ones. So if you set one up here, it's basically just giving the two clone URLs for the two repositories. So here it would be something like github.com if we are synchronizing from a GitHub Git repository to a Bitbucket repository that's Mercurial. So something like company/repo.git. And the Hg repository would be something very similar here, like bitbucket.org. Something happened with the connection. Yes, Bertrand, we didn't put too much time into the graphical aspects of this site. So the Git URL would be something like company/repo, and there is nothing else. And for this repository, if we are syncing from Git to Hg, because this is, by the way, configurable, so you can synchronize either way. Or even two-way, and this works as well. But in the to repository, or even in the from repository, if you do two-way syncing, you need credentials. So that would be something like username, password, and this. And this is something I'm really proud of. It was done by the way, by one of our newest engineers. This show hands and hide button here. Yeah, because unfortunately, for technical reasons, we need the password here. And that's it. Once I hit save here, the automatic syncing will begin. And after a few minutes, we will notice that the synchronization is now complete. And after that, Git-Hg Mirror will periodically synchronize the two repositories. So we will continuously get the update. For example, I just created an Hg mirror of the testing library from Prodigens that Piotr just published. So this is automatically synchronizing from the GitHub repository. As you can see, it was just pushed here. But we also have a Mercury repository for Orchard itself. So if you visit this, this is a direct mirror of the official Git repository from GitHub. And where am I?
Question.
Yeah.
Can you, so that this would sync an entire repo, can you limit it to just a particular branch somehow?
Not at the moment. We thought about that. So this is possible with Git. It's a bit more difficult with Mercurial because it works a bit differently. But it's somehow possible to an extent. We haven't implemented anything about that yet.
Okay. And the other question, what the checkbox is really, what was the checkbox? Yeah, it's really an Hg URL. What's that about?
Yeah, unfortunately, we built this feature after we have already had the data model and everything, and we needed to find a quick way to allow you to sync to Hg repositories. This here could be another Mercurial repository, because you can actually also sync between two Mercurial repositories. This is useful if you have a fork, if you want to that you want to periodically sync, because otherwise that's a manual task, or you create a private clone of something out there that's not even a fork technically. So this is just for that.
Okay.
Oh, and by the way, there is also a mirror for Nix forum module, because that's a Git repository on GitHub, and we actually use this in one of our projects because we needed a forum module, and it's easier this way to have a private Hg fork. There is also one for Mini Profiler. This was a CodePlex mirror. So there's a CodePlex. It actually is. It's still on CodePlex, I think. So we have seen a GitHub to Bitbucket sync. Now this is a CodePlex to Bitbucket sync. So this also works. And finally, we also have it the other way around. So you may have heard about Orchard Application Host. This is a Mercury repository on CodePlex, and we automatically sync it to a GitHub Git repository, and it's here. This also works, by the way, two-way, and this also marks the start of us moving all of our open source repositories away from CodePlex, because it's pretty much dying. And in the end, we will have all of our open source repositories first on Bitbucket as Mercury repositories, and also on GitHub as Git repositories. So that's all, folks. Any other questions?
Yes, if you do a two-way sync, what does it do in terms of conflict resolution?
That's a good question, and that's up to you. So it uses the dump technique, that it basically forces a push. So it's up to you to keep the repository in a state that's actually usable. Well, the worst case is that in the end you will end up with dangling heads on one of the repositories that you then have to merge by hand.
Okay.
Good. I made you famous. I posted your website on Hacker News. We'll see how long it will stay up.
Cool.
And I saw it's made in Orchard. I don't understand why, but yeah, good. That's an application framework too. Next, Antoine.
Andrew from VirtoCommerce as a demo, I think.
Oh, that's you?
No.
Okay. I saw the module on the gallery.
Andrew, are you ready?
Well, yes, I'm ready.
Can you make him a presenter, Sébastien?
Yeah, I thought that was you who will make the demo. Okay, good. You can share.
Well, everyone can see my screen.
It's loading. I can see it now.
Okay. Well, we have developed a simple Orchard model. The main goal of this model is creating a simple web store. So we choose a widget way. Of course, maybe it's wrong in meanings of Orchard, but well, that was our choice. Okay. So modules. Well, here it is. It's already enabled, and as you can see in settings, there is settings for this module where user can set API URL, application ID, secret key, and store ID. First three fields are used for application security, and the last is just simplifying my task. I don't want to display a selector for stores, so user can simply set it in this field. Well, After that, we've got 7 widgets. There are a category list widget, like this. So I put it on as main menu. Then checkout widget for checkout page. I'll show it later. Product list widget.
Okay. Quick question. You have 7 widgets that you will show us, plus all the features, and it's 1 p.m. already. Don't you want to do the demo next week and have more than 5 minutes to do it?
Oh, I think I can't to do it in 5 minutes.
Yes, so that's why I'm saying, if you can't, well, you can or you can't do it in 5 minutes.
I can't do it.
You can't. So I'd suggest that we postpone this demo next week, because we won't have half an hour now to do the demo.
Oh,
if it's
well,
with
okay.
you.
Okay.
Just to have more time, otherwise people will leave, you will be alone, and you will rush, and nobody will get anything. So I suggest we do it next week. Is it fine for you, Andrew and Antoine? I don't know what's the relationship, but I think that's better for everyone.
Well, okay, it's fine for me.
Okay, thank you. So sorry, it's because of Daniel. I'm sure he asked too many questions about Zoltan's.
Yeah, I should be mindful. I'm sorry.
Yes, I understand. Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, but I didn't know there would be so many demos and so long demos. I should have asked before how long. And then I will take the 5 last minutes to talk about the other topics, which is first String.Empty. So when you use the static class on string, you use the uppercase S string. When you use a variable like string, oh yes, it doesn't compile. It doesn't compile. You were right. Let me fix it.
Whether you are not showing your screen now.
I am starting it right now. Sorry. So you should see it very soon. So it's not var string, it's var. Okay. It's string. Okay, so in Orchard, maybe not in Brochard, which is different, but in Orchard, this is what we do right now. So if you want to choose something, it should be that. Then for Harvest, we've been making some good progress. Antoine and Zoltan are working on that. Sipke is helping also. What's the status? What can we share? We have a website almost ready. It's actually hosted. It's on the domain name hasn't been changed yet. So it's guys, tell me if there is some update I don't know about, but this is what we have today.
Nothing else yet. The domain is now propagating.
Okay, but the website is almost ready. There is just 1 or 2 things we need to change, or more content, but it's there. Oh, it will work in HTTPS, but we don't care. I'll be faster. So this is the website. It will show up. We also have an EventBrite event. Does someone have the link? It should be me, but sorry, I don't remember the link. I sent it. Yes, this one. So I think it still needs to be linked. Oh, you have who did that? Antoine, I assume. So this thing was not correct this morning, and now it's correct. So you see the website is almost fine. Location is there. Call for submissions. Antoine made push the video here. So we can say it's 99% ready to be published. We just need the domain name to redirect to that. The EventBrite has been created too. Here, this is a URL, and we linked it on the website. Maybe it's already done, and I don't know. And this is here. Well, if I remove that, I can see it. Sorry, overlays.
Sebastian, please paste the EventBrite link into the chat window.
Doesn't work for me. Okay. We put the application. Yeah. Okay. Well, there is an EventBrite created. So this week we should have everything ready to register on the official website. Okay. Did someone say something? Sorry for the background noise. Okay, questions? No question? Menek, what did you say? Sorry.
So I just wanted to say that please paste the EventBrite link into the chat window.
I didn't get what you said. I don't know if it's interesting. Okay, good. So we'll publish more information. Oh, so yes, Antoine pasted the link. Then they're talking about some things. Okay, good. No more questions. Then we'll close on that, and we'll see you on Thursday. And I hope I won't be late. Thank you, guys.
Sounds good. See you Thursday, guys.
Bye.
All right.
See ya. Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.